So, I haven't made a video in a while, but a movie that recently came out has provoked me again to do so. Actually, a couple movies. I've seen a couple good movies lately, but the one I want to be talking about right now is The Lighthouse. Robert Eggers' new movie.
Tell me, what's a timberman want with being a wiki?
Just looking to earn a living, just like any man. Starting new.
On the run.
It's a fantastic movie. It is probably the most beautiful movie I've seen all year. And I love black and white in general because you get this really high contrasty shadows and lighting. It's not like film noir. I love film noir, but that's its own kind of style. It's just what the effect you get with black and white is it adds a real richness to the overall cinematography that where if it were shot in color, it would be more kind of muddled and gray and blurry. It reminds me of The Witch. I watched The Witch right after I actually watched The Lighthouse because I wanted to revisit it because I think Robert Eggers is he's a really good storyteller. So I watched it, and yeah, it's just visually it's not nearly as striking as The Lighthouse. Now, it wasn't really trying to be, but it's just something that you notice that the way that The Lighthouse is filmed, the way how it's basically a box 1:1 aspect ratio. I don't know if it's actually 1:1, but it's pretty close. It's super condensed. Everything is super close in frame. It's all super cramped together. And I know that was like a strategy of Paul Schrader kind of did that recently with First Reformed. Ghost Story did it also like 2 years ago. But I think this is the best implementation of it recently that I've seen. And the black and white cinematography also kind of helps bring that out. They complement each other very well. But, I mean, it wouldn't matter if the movie itself was bad, but the movie itself is really good. It actually reminds me a lot of Possession, the Zulawski movie. Or Andrei, I can't pronounce his name. This dude. Andrei Zulawski with Sam Neill from Jurassic Park. Or I guess he'd be from that, whatever. It reminded me a lot of Possession, where it's really surface level. It's kind of confusing. And at first, it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on, but there is so much subtext and things dwelling beneath the surface that are there to explore. In this movie, specifically, The Lighthouse, also, because I saw it at first, and at first I was puzzled by it. The ending, especially, without giving away too much. But once you start thinking about it, and the more I personally started thinking about it, the more I really, really appreciated this movie. Because there is so much being said, but so, in such a minimal way. Now, like, if you want to get, like, kind of literal, or not even literal, but, like, symbolic, there's a lot of myth stuff going on that I won't, talk about too much in depth because I don't want to just be an explained video and just explain the ending. But there's a lot of cool mythological things going on. Everybody's been talking about the masculinity implications or statements the movie's making, and that makes a lot more sense when you really start to think about it. And there's a crazy, really weird theory that I came up with about, like, their relation to each other. I don't know, it's all about men discovering who they are, why they are, where they fit. Like, I don't want to just spill the beans.
Watch you spill your beans.
I don't want to spill the beans of the movie without, people going to see it because it just got a wide release this last week. Go see it. It's just such an amazing movie. It, like, deserves its own analysis, but obviously I don't have the movie to do a full analysis on, but, like, you could break this movie apart scene for scene and just completely dismantle it, and it would probably give 10 people 10 different interpretations. Maybe it's just a personal bias of mine, but I love movies like that. I love like I said, Possession, Eraserhead, David Lynch in general, last season of Twin Peaks especially. I love it. I like movies where it rides that fine line, where it has good characters and an actual plot through line. It's not just all nonsense. Like, there is stuff going on, but there is also so much open-endedness and room for interpretation that's a more traditional like studio drama or traditional studio horror movie would have. This has enough structure, but it's not overbearing in exposition. It's not overbearing in stuff. It's just really stripped down, lets you focus on the characters, focus on the themes, focus on the story. Just the beauty of it. It is so freaking beautiful. And okay, one thing that people aren't giving enough credit for, or at least that I've read about, the sound design. This has like some of the best sound design I've heard in a movie in forever. I mean, the mixing and all that stuff was great too, but like just the foghorn. The foghorn that's always present in the movie. Even when they're just sitting at a dinner table, you'll hear it in the distance whenever it's on. And it is just the most like unsettling, most uncomfortable noise. And it just so perfectly conveys the feeling of the movie and just the grossness of it. Especially when he's working on it and it just like the whole theater like shook. It's just this rumble, like this howling. It's just horrifying. And I mean, this is not nearly as much as a pure horror movie compared to The Witch. I'd say The Witch is a much scarier movie, but this is definitely a better movie. We are in the midst right now of a horror renaissance. I mean, you have Robert Eggers, you have Ari Aster, who's just continually impressed me these last 2 years, and then you have Trey Edward Schultz, who, I mean, he's not even making a horror movie this year, but he has a movie coming out. But his last 2 movies are terrifying. He made a Thanksgiving one of the most horrifying, scary experiences ever. Nobody dies, nothing bad happens. It's just horrifying and great. Watch Krisha if you haven't seen Krisha. Krisha's great. There are so many good horror movies coming out lately. I love it. I'm just so excited to see it. Even like from the indie scene and even up some of the bigger stuff, you know. But I mean, A24 distributes these movies. They know what they pick the good stuff. I know they don't make movies, they don't make their own stuff, but they find good movies and they distribute them. And boy, I'm glad they do, because I want to see more movies like these, especially The Lighthouse. I want to see more movies like The Lighthouse and less movies like La Llorona. La Llorona is like the worst thing I've ever seen. It's awful. But yeah, The Lighthouse, it'd probably be like a 9 or 10. It's good. It's not for everybody though. This is not a movie for everybody. I would definitely say that. If you're not into that kind of weird stuff and you want your more just traditional story structure, then probably skip it. But if you want to see something unique and special, go see The Lighthouse.